So we've already looked at when you have multiplying two things that have exponents, or when you have something with an exponent and you raise it to an exponent. So now we're going to look at what happens when you divide two things with exponents, and what happens if you have a negative exponent. Okay, so let's take these a piece at a time. We're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to rewrite the expression in expanded form, and we're going to cross out anything that cancels. Okay, so this guy, this means x to the fifth means you're multiplying 5 x's together. And that's divided by, well, x to the third means 3 things multiplied together. Okay, and there is a rule in math that I know you know that says if you have a common factor top and bottom, you can cancel it out. That's why with like 2/4, you can change that to 1/2, right? When I have something like 2/4, right? Because we can rewrite that as 2 over 2 times 2, and they cancel each other out, right? That's where you get 1/2 from. This is the same idea. So I can cancel out that x, that's a common factor, that one's a common factor, and that one's a common factor. And then I just have to look at what I'm left with. I have 2 more x's left, so x squared. And that's it, I'm done. Okay, let's look at the next one. So this one, I've got 10 and then 6 x's over a 5 and 2 x's. So here's what I can do. I can cancel these x's and I can cancel those x's. And then the 10 over 5, just simplify that like a normal fraction. Okay, if you want to, you can rewrite the 10 as 5 times 2, right? So you can rewrite the 10 as 5 times 2 and then say, oh, look, the 5's cancel out, right? And all I'm left with is a 2 and 4 x's, so 2x to the 4th. And that's my answer. Okay, this guy here, let's do the same thing. So I can rewrite this as 3 times x and then times 3 y's. And then on the bottom, you can break 6 down into 2 times 3, right? So that's 2 times 3 and then 2 x's and then 4 y's. Okay, and then we just cancel out anything that they have in common. So I can cancel out the 3's, I cancel out that x, I can cancel those y's and those y's and those y's. All right, so now when we go to write our answer, this is the part you have to be careful of because this is the part that a lot of people mess up. There's nothing left in the top of my fraction, right? But this is a fraction and I can't just get rid of it. If there's nothing left in the bottom, that's like having a 1 in the bottom, and that part's optional. But if it's a 1 in the top, you need to leave a 1 there as a placeholder to show that these guys are still in the bottom of a fraction. So in the bottom, I have a 2 left and an x left and a y left. So I'm going to write 2xy in the bottom. You need to keep that 1 in the top to show that those were in the bottom of a fraction. So if everything in the bottom cancels, then you're fine. You can just write it as a whole number, or you could put a 1 under it if you want to. But everything cancels in the top. You still need to have a top part of your fraction. Okay, so watch out for that. All right, and then the last thing we've got here is our negative exponents. So negative exponents, I think of them as flipping. Okay, so what they do is they flip. Well, what does that mean? Okay, well, it means anytime you have something with a negative exponent. So like this x has a -2 exponent. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it to the other side of my fraction. And when I flip it, you make the negative sign into a positive sign. Okay, it's kind of like pushing a button. You push the button and then the number lights up. Well, here, when you push the button, the number turns positive. So the 4 and the 8 are going to stay where they are. But the x to the -2 flips down to the bottom and becomes a +2. Like that. Okay? Sorry, I sneezed. All right, and then from there, you just have to simplify this. So you can simplify 4 over 8 like a fraction and simplify that down to 1 over 2. Okay, or you could break the 4 down and say that, oh, well, 4 I know is 2 times 2, and I know 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, and cancel, and you would have gotten to the same spot. So you could do it either way. All right, so let's try it again with this guy. Now this guy, I don't have a fraction here, and negative exponents flip to the other part of the fraction. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it a fraction by putting a 1 underneath it. Okay, and then I'm going to take this guy. He flips to the other part of the fraction. So here's my fraction. The 3 and the 1 stay put. The x to the negative 4 flips down to the bottom and becomes a positive 4. Okay, and then the 3 and the 1, they don't cancel. So you could either leave it like that, or you could just write it as 3 over x to the 4th, because 1x to the 4th and x to the 4th are the same thing. All right, and then this last one here. So this one's got kind of a lot going on with it, but we can totally handle this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to worry about my flipping. So this guy, he's going to flip to the bottom. And you see how down here I've got a y to the negative exponent? Well, that one is going to flip to the top. Okay, so let's carefully rewrite this. So the 3 stayed put. Okay, the y squared stayed put. The 4 and the x in the bottom stayed put. So that stuff is all exactly where it was. Now this guy, he's going to move to the bottom. So down the bottom, I need to write an x to the positive 3. And this guy, he is going to move to the top. So up top, I'm going to need to write a y to a positive 1. And then I've got to simplify that from there, right? So now this means on the top, I've got y's in more than one spot. So let's put those together. So that means 3, and I'm multiplying 2 y's and 1 more y, right? So that's going to be 3 y's multiplied together all together. And on the bottom, I've got the 4, and then I've got 1x here and 3 more there. So that's 4 x's multiplied all together. Okay, and that's it. That's the answer to this problem. Okay, so even though this one looked like it was pretty big, you just take it one step at a time. Start by just flipping things, and then you just simplify whatever you have left over. Okay, and that is how you divide and use negative exponents.